Hello there, everyone, and welcome to GamePoints episode 244, your weekly get-together. We talk about recent gaming news. I'm, as always, your host, David Brown, and joining me today is...
I'm David.
Tonight, David. CD Projekt apologizes for the state of Cyberpunk on last-gen consoles. The Game Awards teased a whole bunch of stuff, as well as, gave everything to The Last of Us 2. And Tencent gets even bigger, because they weren't already big enough to begin with. But first... before we get into any of that, I want everyone here to know that this is an audience interactive podcast. So if you're watching here live at Twitch TV/GamePoints or later over at YouTube.com/GamePointsPC, feel free to join in the conversation with any questions, comments, concerns, etc. you might have. Just try to keep them germane to the topics on hand. Just let us know. We'll see if we can't get to them. David.
Yes.
Let's go ahead and get this one out of the way real quick. Have you had a chance to play Cyberpunk yet?
I have, in a different format than you.
Okay. What did you play it on?
I've played it on an Xbox Series X.
Series X. Okay, I played it on PC. So I'm going to get the tech specs out of the way. I have a 1080 GPU. I have an i7 processor. I have more RAM than theoretically possible. You played it on Series X. No, it's not, but I have a shit ton of RAM. I just don't know what it is off the top of my head. I literally think I have like 64 gigs of RAM.
I thought you had 32.
I might have 32. I don't know. It's been years since I built my computer. All I know is that when I built it, I put more in it than what was even being supported at the time.
Yeah, so for the longest point in time, 8 was like what you wanted, and 16 is what a lot of enthusiasts built, which is why I assume that you have 32. 64 is unreasonable even now.
Okay, then it's probably 32 then. To sum up why, it's because it was literally $10 cheaper for me to buy an extra pair of sticks for the sale that the place had going on. So I was like, fuck it,
RAM.
Here we go.
Just keep throwing RAM in there. It's fine.
Yeah, it'll take care of all problems. Anyways, not that actually affects the gameplay, but that's just like the base stat lines of what I got.
Yeah.
Everything else beyond that is great.
I'm playing on all 12 teraflops of an Xbox.
Right. That's just to kind of give everyone an idea of what we are playing this game on. What are your opinions of it?
Are we talking about the game or the performance?
All of it. Open forum for you to opine as you were about the game.
Cyberpunk 2077 is Morrowind in a sci-fi space.
Okay. Expand upon that.
The feeling of that game, the way there's just kind of like things for you to pick up around, the way people talk to you, the way people look at you when you go to have a conversation with them, the way people kind of have like one passing line of dialogue. To me, I'm not even making a Skyrim comparison, feels like Morrowind. In like
how dated it is, or...
Yes, it is an open world game, but it is not in any way, shape, or form breaking the mold. Now, that's not to say I dislike the game. I'm actually having some fun with it so far. But I don't think it is groundbreaking from an open world sense. I think it is, dense in that it's a city, and it's in some blocks. NPCs are there sometimes and not there other times, so it's kind of got some strange like memory saving techs in there. Okay. And I don't know. To me, it feels more like a sci-fi Morrowind than that's the as strange as it sounds. That's the closest comparison I can make to the way just the game feels. The shooting mechanics are fine. I've been playing too much Destiny 2 recently to fall in love with how the shooting feels.
As an aside, we have both gotten into Destiny 2 real hard, and it is real rough to go from Destiny, which is, in my opinion, probably the best example of modern first-person shooters out there right now. I love the way Destiny 2 feels. And to go from that, which is the pinnacle in its genre that it has worked on for like decades now at this studio, Bungie, to what Cyberpunk shooting is unfair to Cyberpunk, but also not necessarily something that you shouldn't be allowed to compare it to.
It's the shooting is easily as good as either of the Fallout games
I would definitely say that. I would say it's even better in that case.
Yeah.
I would say
there's a lot more to do.
Let's compare it to more of a contemporary game. Let's compare it to Borderlands.
Okay.
I think that's a closer contemporary to what CD Projekt Red is going for here than Destiny 2.
I think that the shooting in Borderlands is more satisfying.
Okay. I probably agree with you there too.
But melee and other styles of combat, Cyberpunk definitely has the edge, obviously.
Okay. I haven't fiddled around with melee much in my playthrough of Cyberpunk. I have been playing it as well. I will say I am very disappointed to see that it is more Grand Theft Auto than, say, Deus Ex.
And I think we both kind of had that. We wanted to just, get our Adam Jensen on.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to get another one of those.
Yeah.
I'm sure you wanted to go full Decker and just get all into it.
Mm-hmm. And that's not to say that right there is CD Projekt Red's thought, because they never pitched it as another Deus Ex. That was me just thinking Cyberpunk and making the connection.
That was us taking a wish list and just projecting it onto Cyberpunk, which it's fair. You do that to lots of games.
But I will say there is a lot more Grand Theft Auto in this game than I thought there'd be. It feels more than anything else, more than Fallout, more than I can't remember what you just compared it to. I'm sorry. More than Morrowind. It feels like Grand Theft Auto to me with a feature skin on it. It just does. And like light RPG elements. That's just how it feels to me. My 8 or so hours in. Now, saying that I'm 8 hours into this game doesn't really give you an idea of where I'm at as far as the story goes. For me, I am right after the heist and when the big thing happens.
The big thing happens. We will stay spoiler-free, as is our nature.
Yes. I am at the scene of the trailers.
Cool.
That's where I'm at. So that is kind of where I'm at on there. I will say that despite not having its... And notice, we're not talking about the tech stuff yet. I want to talk about the tech stuff later in this part.
We're just talking about the video game as a video game.
As far as a video game goes, I waffle between being highly annoyed because of some of the tech stuff, but also blown away by some of the shit that I was able to do in this game. Let me give you an example. There is this one firefight that's going on. I'm shooting around, blowing stuff away, and then all of a sudden I start getting hacked with overheat or something like that. You can see the little thing pop up because I have the passive skill that notifies me when I am being hacked. I also have the skill that lets me ping things, so I can see where everything's connected at. So I start getting hacked. I am then able to ping and realize I'm being hacked through a security camera. I am able to go through the security camera to see the son of a bitch hacking me. He is now on my vision, and I can see his outline. I pull out my sniper rifle, which can shoot through walls, and plug this son of a bitch through 5 walls before he finishes hacking me. All of this in less than 30 seconds.
That's pretty neat.
The game is filled with shit like that, and I love that stuff. Because that's not scripted, that just happens. And the game lets you get away with that.
Mm-hmm.
So there are some amazing gameplay moments in here. I'm loving the side stories. The main plot's really cool, I think. It's very competently voice acted. I think I actually care about a lot of the characters in this. What do you think? What do you have any experiences like that you want to share? Or should we just move right into tech stuff?
I like how much melee you can get away with.
See, I haven't been meleeing stuff too much, but I want to play around with it.
You'd probably need a whole new build for it. You'll probably need to start another character for it, but my character is built for the mantis blades.
Oh, those are the pop-out arm blades, right?
Yep. I saw that in that very first 30-minute trailer or whatever they revealed however long ago that got us so excited for this game that the more I think about it, the more it was the fucking original Watch Dogs tease. But that aside, I just wanted to run around and whirling dervish kids to death. That sounds great. And there's a whole skill tree where you can kind of get this passive perk, and the more you kill things and the more you fight, the better you get at it and the less damage you take, and it's cool. It's fun. And I like that I have that option. I do feel like it leans heavily towards wanting you to murder people.
Yeah, I haven't been able to make stealth viably work yet. It always ends up being just a clusterfuck.
I feel like you have to either level up a lot to make stealth happen or need to know exactly what's going on. And
yeah, I don't feel like I have the tools yet to stealth properly.
That's kind of what I'm saying. I feel like you need to level up before you can stealth. Yeah.
We'll see how that shakes out as the game goes on, for sure.
But I don't think either one of us is a shit stealth game player, so if neither one of us are doing it very well, what are you going to say?
I want to compare what I have access to now compared to later in the game when I could possibly like start distracting enemies and shutting off cameras permanently and walk quietly. Then I want to take a look at it, but we'll see by that point. I think much like a general role-playing game, though, when you start off with level 1, you're just going to suck at everything.
Yeah, more or less.
So we'll see how that shapes out as it goes on. All right.
So gameplay-wise, I'm enjoying it.
There's a lot of fun to be had here.
Before getting to actual technical things, the only thing that was kind of a bummer for me was the origin system.
It felt very gimped. I was once again...
Like Dragon Age, like
that's what I was going to compare it to.
That first fucking Dragon Age, right, where you pick a role and like you start as that, and like there's this whole big chunk of gameplay, and it really feels impactful. Now, mind you, I've only started as a single character with one backstory, but that backstory session lasted honestly like 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's about right. I've done two of them.
And
I've done the Nomad and the Corpo, and they're both been about 20 minutes, and then it goes right
I watched somebody else play, and yeah, sure enough, their intro is about 20 minutes, and then it just plays the exact same cutscene, no matter which path you choose, that now you're playing the video game, and everything is exactly the same regardless of what you just chose.
The only difference...
Every once in a while, you get like a throwaway line of dialogue of, well, I used to be a something.
Yeah, every now and then during the dialogue choices, you get to use something on your background, which can open up some different paths, but at the end it all still bleeds together.
No, see, that's what I was going to say is it in my experience, and I've definitely not done anywhere close to everything in this game, is that if you do have some like topical background information icon, it's never the one that drives the conversation forward. It's the, let me talk about this for a minute, and then we circle back to whatever you actually wanted me to talk about, and the quest just continues as normal.
I'm trying to rack my brain. I think I have seen a couple of the yellow choices that were related to the background. I believe so, yes. But it's all a blur at this point because I've got like 8 to 10 hours into it.
Yeah.
And it's not like I was paying that hard attention to it. All right. Let's move to what the bugaboo is right now. Let's move to the technical side of things. What has been your technical experience with the game?
V fucking hates pants and is built like a Ken doll from the waist down. Any single time I would see my character, other than when I'm actually controlling him, pantsless Ken doll. Okay. If I'm rocking around and look down, I'm wearing pants. But if there's a cutscene, like say I'm getting in the chair at the Ripper Dock, pants are gone, Ken doll. Smooth all over.
Okay, and that's not by design.
If I go look in one of the mirrors, my shirt will be there, my hat will be there, pantsless Ken doll.
All right, so it's funny you mentioned that because I think they've patched it and fixed it, but for my first few hours of the game, it was the exact opposite for me. From the waist up, including my hair, just smooth. Nude, smooth, not even bald, because you could see where the texture of like where the hairstyle goes was a different color than the skin. So that was my experience as far as that goes. I had multiple scenes where your buddy that you start off with, like you'll be talking to him and then he walks off into the distance and he just walks through cars.
Why not?
Like the car isn't even there. I've had him hop on a motorcycle and then run me over in a cutscene that I couldn't get out of, so I couldn't move out of the way, and it fucking killed me because I was low health.
Nice.
I have seen people reach into their pockets to pull out a thing of cigarettes, and instead they light like the end of a gun, and they're smoking on the barrel of a gun rather than a cigarette.
I would do that.
I have summoned my car, and rather than, because the way summoning your car works is it's the way you see in a lot of games when you summon your horse, it always appears from behind you, regardless of what direction you're looking at. I was in a way.
I'll let you finish, and then I'll tell you about a car summon I had.
I was in a place where it was relatively open, and it really couldn't try to like stealth in there, so it just kind of spawned inside of me and made me like a David Cronenberg version of Turbo Teen.
Perfect. I had one today where I spawned my car while looking at like a corner of the street, and there was another car, and my car spawned partially in and on that car. So the guy couldn't drive, and his car was stuck, and he was just like peeling out, and my car was like stacked on it. And I go to get in my car, and mine does like a 360 Indy Misty flip, and then lands on its wheels, and then that guy honks at me a bunch, and then everything goes back to normal.
I think the wildest one of them all, though, is I had my car spawn on top of a person, and then the person like clipped into my car, and then the AI went, "Oh, this person's in the car. Start driving." And the fucker just drove off with my car, and I couldn't summon it back because he was in my car. I had to like
if you just
load
turn
the
away
game
from it and turn back, it'd be fine.
So that is a small smattering of technical problems I've been having. However, the only like game ending one that I had was I fell through the world once.
Nice. I've not done that yet.
It's something that I actually haven't seen in a game in a very long time. Now that I think about it. So I no longer accept this excuses of like, well, it's like a Bethesda game. Okay, cool. It's like a Bethesda game. How many games are actually like Bethesda games? There's a reason why we say Bethesda game. Horizon Zero Dawn, massive open world, didn't have this shit in it.
Nope.
So I don't accept that as an excuse. Now, if it was like everything was like this, I'd be probably like, yeah, okay. But there is a myriad of technical problems. Do you want to address anything else about our personal technical problems with the game before we move on to like the official stuff?
We can get into it. I mean, I've seen some like T-poses, some other shit like that, but it's just the stuff that you see on the internet. Neither one of us are playing it on a original gen console.
And that is where the actual, like, unexcusable stuff comes in my opinion.
Yes, there are lots of bugs and issues, which, fuck, I hate the games industry right now, are to be expected of a game of this magnitude.
Fuck that, no. I will always go back and say, name me any industry where you buy anything and then get told, well, of course it's not going to work when you buy it. You got to wait a couple months.
I don't know. Have you bought a Tesla yet?
No, I haven't, but I do want to. I do want a Tesla bad.
Make sure to pay for the DLC so that you can get on the freeway.
But the self-driving DLC.
Anyway.
But do you see the point that I'm trying to make? It's like, no. I fucking bought a product. I expect that product to work. And I don't think that is the moderate position.
Let's get into this a little bit, and we're going to talk about some other shit related to Cyberpunk, and then we'll circle back.
All right.
Anyway.
But yes, apparently on last-gen consoles, it is atrocious.
There's tons of videos you can find online. It's really easy to see. Look up, like, base PS4 or base Xbox Cyberpunk, and you will see it looks horrible. There's just all kinds of issues. I don't want to say it's unplayable, but it's pretty fucking bad.
Yeah, even if it is running glitch-free, even if somehow you get that, there's like pop-in, washed-out textures, missing textures. It is bad to the point where that leads us to our first story coming into it. CD Projekt Red had to openly apologize for the state that it is in. Now, I'll be linking to their statement down below. It's in that famous yellow background with black text that we have all become accustomed to. I'm going to give you kind of the bullet points to it. One, they just straight up said they should have been more open to showing off last-gen consoles' performance.
Which we had talked about last week, that the only reviews that were in were for PC copies only.
Right.
Which made us both very nervous. We were wondering how well this game was going to work on 7-year-old hardware.
That's something I want to get more into.
Doesn't.
That's something I want to get more into as we get deeper into our Cyberpunk conversation here, so we'll be coming back to that specific thing later. They did promise that large patches would be coming in January and in February, so good to know that all that crunch only led to more crunch.
Yep.
They said that you can opt to return the game, but there's some major caveats there, because if you bought it digitally on a Sony or Microsoft platform, both those companies are saying, too bad, we didn't say that, fuck you.
Yep, that was my favorite part of the whole press release. CD Projekt Red says, hey, go ahead and return it if you can. I mean, we're not going to give you your money back, but go ahead and try and return it like you would a normal product.
They said if it's physical, you can copy them, but I recall, I need to verify this, so I'm not positive on this, but I want to say I read somewhere that like 77%, maybe 78% of all copies of this game sold were digital. So congratulations. If you're in the 20% that have a physical copy, you might be able to return it somewhere.
Right.
So, yeah, Microsoft and Sony have open refusing returns on this game. I think there's
also,
Good.
As a minor addendum, we do have to shout out to the fact that they apparently recouped not only their development costs but also their marketing costs on pre-order sales.
This game is 100% profitable day one.
Yep.
So that's how big it sold.
All right, fill time. I need a battery.
All right, go change your battery. Let's go ahead and move into that whole hiding last-gen performance thing. OpenCritic, which I actually like better than Metacritic these days. OpenCritic has openly put up the only warning I have ever seen of this ilk on a video game ever when addressing Cyberpunk 2077 reviews, and it reads as following. Please note, this game has significant disparities in performance, player experience, and review scores between PC, next-gen consoles, Xbox One, and PS4 versions. The OpenCritic team and several critics suspect that the developer, CD Projekt Red, intentionally sought to hide the true state of the game on Xbox One and PS4 with requirements such as only allowing pre-rendered game footage in reviews and not issuing review copies for PS4 and Xbox One versions. This notice will be taken down February 2021. OpenCritic themselves are straight up saying, yeah, they deliberately went out of their way to lie to the public. Because that is what this is, a lie. What do you think, David? Are you all my thinking there?
Yeah, no, for sure. They deliberately prevented anyone from reviewing it, and even then, if you were reviewing it, you were only allowed to use like their trailer footage. What the fuck is that about?
So this is where I want to also drag the games media as well. Any media outlet that agreed to this embargo should also be held to fucking account. Because they are culpable.
I'll give you like a 50-50 on that one. I'll give you a 50-50 on that one because in order for games media to survive, they need page clicks. And in order for them to get page clicks when a huge AAA video game's out, they have to fucking review it. No matter what. They fucking have to, or they don't have a job tomorrow.
Then they are not reviewers, they are marketing arms.
That is a totally fair argument, but I'm just letting you know that the company wouldn't be there if they can't. So
so from your standpoint,
if they do, damned if they don't. So I get your anger. Like
from your standpoint, I do get what you're saying. I have seen behind the scenes. I know how the sausage is made. It's an access industry. You have to kind of play ball to get stuff early, and even having a difference of an hour delay in your review can cost you tens to hundreds of thousands of page clicks,
which is a huge fucking deal. So
I get that.
I hear you, but I just want to make sure that we throw that caveat on there.
Yes,
That's a little harsh.
I do get that. I actually don't think I'm harsh on that at all. Stand up and say, here is why we don't have this reviewed. And I think that if you were honest about it...
Or just give me a big fucking disclaimer of, hey, guess what? We played this game. We were only offered this version, and we're only allowed to use this.
And a lot of people did do that. A lot of people did say, hey, just so you know, here's this on the review. My issue comes from accepting that review bargain to begin with, because I think that the audiences are more generous than you might think when it comes to that stuff.
I think you're a fucking idiot if that's the case. That's the stupidest thing you've ever said on this show.
Fair enough.
Audiences are the least receptive, least understanding, and least like coddling people in the history of time. The internet is a huge bitch.
The bigger you are, the more that applies, yes. Like, if you're an IGN, if you're a GameStop, that's not so much necessarily a thing. But if you're, like, a mid-tier site, like, say, The Escapist, who I was talking with earlier today, you can get away... You can go, hey, listen, we refuse the embargo on this. Here is why. And you could still write a shit ton of articles about it. You could still get those clicks. You just have to, like, refocus where your efforts are going to be. But I think there needs to be a serious fucking discussion, because what happens is it puts these places' reps on the line.
Yep.
It does more harm to them than good, which is why if and I am not, but if I were in an editorial position, I would have looked at it and said, no, we are not agreeing to this embargo. And I would have written, like, a letter from the editor explaining why.
That being said, you would take that stance if, like, GamePoints as an entity was large enough that you could pull that shit off. But if they had sent you a code a week ago and said, hey, play this game on PC and get us a review, and you can only use trailer footage, I'm fairly sure you still would have played it and put out a review. You probably would have had a whole bunch of fucking caveats on it, but I'm pretty sure you would still have a review.
If I was more than one person, no. If I'm only one person, yes, because I can't cover every single one of those things.
That's what I'm saying. And you
But
mostly are one person.
I'm not just one person.
I don't review shit.
But if I am at that level, I'm no longer just one person. Not only that, but at that level, you have some push and pull to go, hey, this is what's going on.
Yeah.
So if anything, I think that people would, like, if you were the one place that did that, I think people would be flooding your site going, okay, here's the review out, and it's got like IGN ended up reviewing the last gen consoles, gave it a 4 out of 5. I guarantee you that review did a lot of traffic because everyone's like, okay, here's this console, because it's actively criticizing, it's showing the truth on the last gen stuff.
Yep.
I don't think IGN missed any meals by doing that. So there needs to be. I'm not blaming, by the way, games media for the state of the game it's in, but they do need to have their feet held a little bit more to the fire, and they need to be kind of chastised a little bit. They can't be acting like marketing firms for this company, because if you agree to those terms, once again, at what point are you no longer a review site and just another marketing firm?
Okay, cool. So that kind of leads us into what I wanted to talk at the top of this.
Okay.
Because there's one thing that is more or less universally consistent regarding the reviews of this game, especially from the base PC version, and that they're fucking overwhelmingly positive.
Yes.
From the critic side.
And they were all played on PC.
They were all played on PC, yes, but as we've both mentioned, there's plenty of fucking issues on the PC version of the game still. But due to the nature of the industry and the way video games fucking come out now, especially open world games, all of the bugs were just kind of treated as that will be fixed, and I still have to write this fucking review, and the game itself is great, 9 out of 10.
Yeah. And
but
you know what's frustrating?
If a game has a shit ton of bugs in it and has all this... Okay, I don't know if you've been paying attention to this, but there's some really fucking lazy coding in this game.
No, I haven't gotten that granular into it.
So the way the game, for example, the AI cannot fucking drive. Period. They can't. Try following a car around on the street. Eventually it'll just stop, and it won't go anywhere. Because they don't know what they're doing.
I have seen some traffic jams with nothing blocking the cars.
And here's how the game fixes it. Turn around for 5 seconds and look back. All the cars are gone because you weren't looking at them.
Okay, I'll have to keep an eye on that.
Instead of fixing traffic or just like giving a proper AI, it just poofs the fucking cars out of existence. I'm assuming is like a memory saving technique.
I need to take a look at that. That's something that a lot of games have been doing a lot lately. I never noticed it myself.
Or here's a good one. On the street in a busy area, take your gun out and shoot it a few times. Everyone's gonna freak out. Turn around in a circle. And
that I have. So I've noticed the exact opposite of that. I have fired, left, and then come back to the same spot. And like 20 minutes later, people are still cowering.
See, that could be a PC console jump.
That could be. I'm like, why are you people still cowering? No one's chasing after them anymore. The thing has been resolved. I'm trying to talk to this NPC. What's really frustrating though is that like half the crowd will be cowering, the other half just acting normal.
Anyway, so there's lots of weird things. Open world games have developed a lot. Like I mentioned before, you get really fucking mad at me on Twitter or something. I do like the video game, but we have to fucking critique things that deserve critiquing. Or what the hell are we even doing here?
And once again,
this game getting glowing reviews from critics for the PC version. Now we're finally talking about the console versions, yada yada. And it's weird to me that all of those bugs and issues from the launch version of the game are just kind of overlooked. At this point, review scores are fucking useless. We've talked about this before. But there's no reason a game should be reviewed like the day it comes out if it's going to be just fixed like this. If you want to have a living review score, hey, guess what? As it came out, it's a 6. We'll check out after the January patch and after the February patch, maybe we'll bump it up.
Right. And despite all the bugs and all that shit, me playing it on PC, I'm still having a goddamn blast with it.
Yeah.
There is actually a lot of fun in this game. And that's what's most frustrating to me about it. It's
really fun. I like it.
Yeah.
I do.
Which makes me want to nitpick it more. Because there are the seeds of greatness here.
Yeah, I think it's a really good game that doesn't deserve near perfect review scores.
I am eager to see
also
this game
think
in February.
that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm not if it's a 5, it's a bad game thing.
Yeah, I'm not that either. But I've always been someone who like reads the shit though too. So.
Some of my favorite video games in the world are like in the 5 to 6 range. So what are you gonna do?
Ring of Red on the PlayStation 2, baby. Love that son of a bitch. I don't think it reviewed too well.
I'm a goddamn Armored Core fan. I don't think a single mainline entry in that entire franchise scored more than like a 6.5 from any critic.
And I do want to be clear on this, by the way. This is not Anthem. This is not Avengers.
Hell no. This is not fucking No Man's Sky at launch.
No.
This is not Assassin's Creed Unity. This is not Batman fucking Arkham Origins.
Yeah, Origins was the one that was all fucked up.
It's not a as a minor bit of shade. It's not a Ubisoft PC release from the last or from like 3 years ago or 4 years ago.
Right. This but this isn't even Watch Dogs.
No.
It does, parts of it live up to the hype. Parts of it, in my opinion. But as a whole package, it definitely falls short. But there is a lot of, in my opinion, rightful shade being thrown at this game. But once again, I want to make clear, this is not Anthem. And in a month or two, I expect this game to be amazing. But it did...
because that's the fun part, is that we do have CD Projekt Red, who are going to crunch their employees to hell and fucking back, churning out fixes for this game, because it's the only thing they're working on. They're all hands on deck. This is all they're doing right now. They're not EA. They don't have 17 other projects in the pipeline.
Right.
This is what they live for.
This is what they have. And it did need to be delayed, which brings us to the final point of CD Projekt Red that I want to... of Cyberpunk, rather, that I want to bring up. CD Projekt had an emergency meeting of their shareholders to discuss the problems with the game. Because they are widespread enough that CD Projekt is going to take a massive hit to their image on this. They were the gold after Witcher 3. They were the golden boy. They can do no wrong. They're going to need a lot of fucking crow on this. And that makes shareholders nervous. So they did an emergency meeting for shareholders. I'll link the transcript of this conversation down below. But the one question that gets asked out the gate is, why did this game release in this state? And I want to read this quote from Adam Kixlinkand, and I apologize if I mispronounce that. And he is the joint CEO of CD Projekt. And this should give you an insight in how development and business sometimes clash extremely hard against each other. So, when asked the question why this game released in this state, after 3 delays, we as the management board were too focused on releasing the game. We underestimated the scale and complexity of the issues. We ignored the signals about the need for additional time to refine the game on the base last-gen consoles. That is the head of it all. Someone saying, yes, we were fucking desperate to release it because we delayed it so many times. We didn't want to say we're delaying it again, and we deliberately ignored the problems that were in front of our face. Insert quote about bad game delayed forever is Duke Nukem.
Yep.
Before we leave this topic and move on to the Game Awards, is there anything else you want to add to this conversation that we might have either glossed over or that you just want to expand out on? Final thoughts.
Witcher 3 was a buggy mess on launch. Even with, I think, 3 delays, major delays, much like Cyberpunk before it. And part of the reason why CD Projekt was the golden boy is because Witcher 3 became one of the best fucking games of the generation. I don't expect this to be too different.
Okay. So
they're going to work on this game like fucking crazy, and a year from now, or whenever Cyberpunk 2077 Game of the Year edition or Anniversary edition or whatever, complete edition, whatever the hell you're going to call it, comes out, it's going to be fucking awesome.
And that is one of the reasons why I wanted to mention there's still a lot of fun to be had here. Because, despite the myriad of problems that I'm just having
sad
with it,
that we're at a point in the industry where we can't get that version now.
Yeah. And despite all the myriad problems that I'm having with it, I'm still thinking about playing that game again.
Yeah, I'm probably going to go play it later.
Yeah.
Honestly. So I think it's important to note, Neither of us fucking hate this game. We think it's pretty
No,
damn fun.
I think it is a solid 7 in its current state. It is a solid 7 out of 10. If I were to apply a video game score to it, and on my reviews, I typically don't.
Yeah, like I said, we don't really like numbers.
No, it's an arbitrary number. Your scale is meaningless to my scale. Do you base it where 5 is an average, or do you follow the U.S. grading scale where 7 is a C?
I mean,
it's all pointless.
My score only goes to 7, but it starts at 3. So what are you gonna do, right? It's a totally different thing.
All right, David. Let's move on to the other big thing that's happened in the past couple of days, and that was
bugaboo. The
no. The bugaboo was the Cyberpunk conversation. We're gonna go to the Keeleys.
The Keeleys.
The Keeleys.
Let's get into the Keeleys.
You know, I bet he actually would hate it being called that because he seems somewhat humble and probably does not want that.
And he doesn't actually vote, or like he's like, I'm sorry, I can't actually be involved in the voting process. I'm above it.
Well, he's not above it, but it is a major conflict of interest when he's the man handling the sponsorships.
That's fair, but it's the Keeleys, and
yeah, it is the Keeleys. So let's talk about the Game Awards. So there are like two sides of the show. One is the awards side, which, unless you want to get into, I don't think we need to, because at the end of the day, The Last of Us 2 won everything.
So I don't want to talk about the individual game awards, like who won what.
Okay.
Besides the fact that Last of Us won a couple things that it shouldn't have, that should have gone to Hades. But
yeah, I get the distinct feeling there might have been some favoritism at play there. But hey, I got no proof.
Before we get into the bulk of what we're going to talk about related to the Game Awards,
which is the other side of the coins, and that is the trailers.
That is actually the part that bugs me, that I want to talk about.
Okay.
They're called the Game Awards, but if you take the presentation as a whole, which is about, 3 hours?
The Game Awards itself was 2 hours and like 45 minutes with a 30-minute pre-show.
It was right around 3 hours. But we have to count the pre-show because they give away awards during the fucking pre-show.
Yeah, you're talking exactly what I was going to bring up.
The biggest thing about the Game Awards is that they don't give a fuck about the games or the awards.
No.
The entire goddamn 3.5 hour show is so they could show off new shit and Keeley could be like, look at all these famous people I know. What the fuck are you doing?
Christopher Nolan has no business at the Game Awards.
I'm sorry, but if you're watching, like, the Oscars, which the Game Awards want to be bigger than, Keeley is on record saying.
And it heavily modified.
Maybe.
You could see it modify itself after the, mold itself after the Oscars.
You should actually focus on the people that make the fucking things that you're there to award and, have somebody accept the award for every goddamn thing you do and not do let's do a flashcard quick bingo, give away 7 awards in the pre-show as I just rattle them off, and here's another trailer because obviously you guys aren't here for the awards.
They did do that for a lot of their bigger ones, though. Like, for example, I will always remember Sean Murray's face when he realized he won for, like, best ongoing game for No Man's Sky. By the way, a game that I actually think deserved that award.
Yeah, I understand that, but of the games that had people there, even on Skype Zoom call, I don't care. I'm taking COVID out of the situation. A majority of the awards that were given out
were given out to bad red.
Here's all the people that are nominated, and the winner is so and so.
Yeah.
Okay, that's that. Here's all the people that are nominated for this thing, and the winner is so and so. No one accepts the award. There's no pre-recorded anything. They don't cut to a dude on a Zoom call. They don't even give you and the nominees are such and such for best soundtrack and play a snippet of a song from the fucking video game.
So this is where I get to be the guy that goes, let's look at the business thing of things, much like how you were saying game companies in their reviews. If they did that, and the majority of the show was that, how many people would actually watch?
Well, considering that I didn't bother to watch this show, I would say I would. If they were actually what they're pretending they are.
So you would be far more interested in seeing people getting up and saying thank you for this award and everything like that than you would be all the trailers and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you can still have trailers too, but at this point, the line has shifted, and I'm thinking it's like 2/3 shit. Here's the shit coming out. When you watch like the Oscars or the Emmys, do they just show fucking trailers for things that come out next year and 2 years after that?
No, I see what you're getting at, but I think it is actually the trailers that catches the eyeballs. I have to wonder if eventually
I
Keighley will start switching over to more of an
I
Oscars mode,
get
though.
that the trailers are the fucking Super Bowl halftime commercials, and that you need that to get people to watch them. But if you're gonna pretend that your award show is gonna be bigger than the Oscars, then maybe actually respect the people that make the fucking things that you're there to honor in the first place.
I absolutely respect your point. I think is a valid point, and I do agree with it on multiple levels. But the reality of the situation is, I don't think that if they were to fill the show with that, you would have to do one of two things. One, it would be a 5-hour show. Or two, you would have to cut about half of these trailers, and then you lose your audience.
It is what it is.
Yeah, I think now we've
Then-
kind of like taken the exact opposite positions that we had on the Cyberpunk media review thing, where one of us is backing the financial reality of it, and the other one is like in the ideal scenario, this is what it would be.
Yeah. It's weird for us to flip flop that hard, but I think you're right on the money with this one. I like the idea of the Game Awards more than I like the Game Awards.
And
You're like, yeah, but they gotta make a fucking dollar, or it's not gonna exist next year.
Here's the thing: if you want to give me like put me in a corner and say what it should be, I'm with you. I want it to be exactly what you're saying it is. I would love it to be that. But
And
I can
and
also
think that's
see the rubber
probably
meeting
what
the road here.
Keighley wants it to be as well.
Oh, I know for a fact it is.
But he also has to have the funding to put the show on in the first place.
Yes.
So I get all that. It's just, god damn, dude.
And I will say this, and I have said it like every year going on what seems 5 years now. It gets better every single time. It gets a little bit closer to what you're trying to go for. They actually, like, if you compare the show to last year's, you didn't have nearly as many people talking, and also you have the COVID thing going around. It's really hard to do live Zoom calls at that time. It's a bitch and a half to get that many people just on standby, ready to go, rather than actually having them in their seats at the area where all they do is stand up. I think that the Game Awards are one of those things that can be easily criticized. I think a lot of people don't realize how hard it is to pull something like that off. And I think it is something that gets better and better every single year, but still has a long way to go.
Yep.
Because
And I still like Keighley, you know.
Yeah, I love Jeff Keighley. I will fully say that I am a unabashed fan of Jeff Keighley. I think that man is actually a very positive force in the gaming industry, and I think he is trying to find that line between legitimizing video game culture and still keeping it video game culture. And every year has less cringe, in my opinion. After all, a few years, it wasn't all that long ago we had the Schlick Hydro bot. And it wasn't a few years back.
We can't even bring up Jeff Keighley's name without talking about the Schlick Hydro.
And it wasn't that long before then when we had a drunken Joel McHale literally showing up like he fucking was just there to cash a check. So in the past 10 years, that show has come a long way.
Yep.
But that's the award side of things. Let's talk about some of the announcements. Now, I'm not going to go over every single announcement. I'm just not. Because there was a lot of stuff. But I want to go over the big ones. One, new Perfect Dark was announced. Caught me just out of nowhere. This is Microsoft's, I want to say it was called The Initiative. Was it The Initiative? Yeah, The Initiative. This is that game studio that they made. And they had announced what they're working on. It's not rare. It's a completely new team making a brand new Perfect Dark. And while that trailer didn't really show any gameplay and like that, I'm digging the setting they're creating. Mm-hmm. It felt like Perfect Dark.
I'm actually really hyped for that.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it.
Because since it's from a studio that's owned by Microsoft, you know what this is? Perfect fucking
for PC.
Game Pass bait.
Perfect for PC is what it is.
Perfect for Game Pass, bro.
Yeah, you're right. Also announced, this is probably my most exciting thing that I saw on there, the Callisto Protocol. This is made by Striking Distance, a new studio formed by Glenn Schofield. Most of you might know Glenn Schofield as the guy that helped create Sledgehammer Games with Call of Duty Studio. I know him as the guy that essentially created Visceral Games, who made Dead Space. And this looks to be him saying, well, fuck you, EA. If you're not going to let me make another Dead Space, I'll just go make my own.
Yeah.
And I am all on board for this.
That was like the last time that EA had a new IP. But they promptly just trotted into the ground.
Yeah, let's not get into that.
Anyway, I want to take this next one.
Yeah, go for it. I think we're both buying this day one, I think.
Hell yeah. Back for Blood. We had we were aware of this title, but we actually got a trailer for it. It's made by Turtle Rock Studios, and it is in all but name fucking a new Left 4 Dead game.
From what I understand, Left 4 Dead 2 was originally going to be called Back for More, but that was too confusing because there wasn't that sequel thing on there. So it's kind of a nice little tribute to that. That's just a scuttlebutt, by the way. I don't have any official confirmation on that.
Yeah, and it's not actually Left 4 Dead 3, but come on, man.
It is Left 4 Dead and all but
shenanigans with special zombies. Let's go.
It is time for another one of those.
Yep.
So in that similar vein, we have something that I'm really looking forward to as well. 40k Darktide, Warhammer 40k Darktide. It's 40k's version of Vermintide from the same developer, Fat Shark. Looks goddamn amazing. I love Vermintide. I wish I could play Vermintide more, because that is unfortunately one of those games that does require 4 people actively talking to each other to really hum.
And I'm excited about this because, man, I'm gonna be sad again, but we both love Vermintide. Vermintide 2 is a fantastic game. We were really excited for that to jump into the 40k universe with that Deathwing game that came out, which was not made by the same team and was not nearly up to the same level of polish that Vermintide was.
Games Workshop whores out the Warhammer license to anyone willing
for
to
the
pay
longest time. You could not touch a Games Workshop property. They wouldn't let you do it. Now you got $20, they'll let you borrow it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's straight up.
So I'm really, really excited for this because we're both 40k fans.
Yeah.
We like that grimdark future. The year's 40,000 and basically humanity's fucked. Let's go.
That's more or less that you summed it up in one sentence. David, you might know more about this one than I do.
I do know more about this. Just going off the show notes, you have no fucking idea what this video game is.
Yeah.
Monster Hunter Rise was shown off. This is so for your information, the Monster Hunter series at this point looks to be taking a split, because while Monster Hunter World came out on the big consoles and PC, on Switch we got Monster Hunter Generations, which is more akin to the old style Monster Hunter games than World, which changed a lot of mechanics, made a lot of the gameplay different and new, and had a lot of quality of life stuff, changed the way the game felt, the way it looks, everything. Monster Hunter Rise is more a sequel to Generations than it is to Monster Hunter World, which is why this game is only coming to Switch. This is like a continuation of the handheld Monster Hunter franchise.
Okay.
So expect it to feel more like that. The combat will be, I think, toned down a bit from what Generations was, where there was all kinds of crazy combo shit and things got really weird, but it will be more complicated than Worlds. If Monster Hunter Worlds was your very first Monster Hunter game, this one might not come naturally and will not feel like the same video game. However, if you're a longtime Monster Hunter fan and were somehow turned off by Worlds, I know 2 people that were, then this is the game that they were actually waiting for.
Okay. See, I thought, just looking at the trailers, that this was going to be more of like a story adventure RPG game.
No, this is a straight up Monster Hunter game. This is it's on the Switch. It still has grappling hooks, but it's going to feel more like Generations in World.
There's 2 more, technically 3, but 2 more things I want to discuss. 1, 2 is a game called Evil West.
Evil West
showed a trailer for it. It's the Weird West setting. What I'm really excited for is that it's made by Flying Wild Hog. These are the guys that made Shadow Warrior, which is one great first-person shooter.
Shadow Warrior's rad.
Shadow Warrior is great. And then finally, and these are 2 things I'm lumping into one. We had a trailer. I don't even want to call it a trailer. We had a teaser for Dragon Age and Mass Effect.
Yeah, we had a teaser trailer announcement video, right? What do we call those bullshit things that they like to pull off? It's trailer for a trailer, but it's more a trailer for a teaser.
The Dragon Age one was like about 30 seconds or so. It's like, hey, Varric's back, and we're still fighting Solus. Okay, cool. We knew that was happening. The Mass Effect teaser essentially said, hey, Mass Effect will return, showed an old Liara. And she was brushing off an N7 thing. So, first off, clearly fuck you, Andromeda. Let's just pretend that doesn't exist as I move on to that.
Yep.
But this is where I need to kind of address the elephant in the room. Mass Effect, that new Mass Effect, whatever it might be called, is a minimum 4 years away. Minimum.
Oh yeah.
Because
they're not even working on this game right now.
No, they're in pre-production. They just they're just trying to get some brownie points.
Somebody wrote Mass Effect on a whiteboard, and an exec walked by and said, "Sure, you guys can start pitching ideas for that." And they said, "Oh shit, can we put together a trailer for the Game Awards?" And the guy said, "Fuck it, go for it. As long as you do it at nights and weekends."
The fact that Dragon Age still has yet to actually show any gameplay means that game is at least 2 years away, at the earliest 18 months. And it is all I can promise you, given the fact that the past few releases at BioWare, Anthem and Andromeda, have BioWare on the chopping block. I can feel it in my bones that they're on the chopping block, that unless Dragon Age knocks it out of the park, they are fucked. So it is all hands on Dragon Age. They've just recently lost both the head of the Mass Effect and the head of the Dragon Age, Lord teams. They're both gone. They have had a massive turnaround lately. I have heard that Dragon Age 4 has been rebooted twice now. That game needs to come out before they even think about starting on Mass Effect. So they're teasing this game, Mass Effect, that's minimum 4, my gut tells me 6 years away. And they're doing it because they're called BioWare. But at this point, people at BioWare, a fucking trailer is not enough. You do not have the credit you used to have. You were overextended on your adoration. You have had 2 terrible releases. You have had multiple high-profile people piecing out. It has been controversy after controversy after controversy coming from these studios. A fucking teaser of the new Mass Effect, in my opinion, is the wrong move and shows a studio desperate to try to win people back without putting in the work to win people back.
And here's the hard truth. At last report, and correct me if I'm wrong, unless something newer has come out, the last time I read, the next Dragon Age game is still, even after the clusterfuck that is Anthem, being built in the goddamn Frostbite engine, and they're not just switching to Unreal.
I don't know.
That was I remember reading
think
that
you might be right, but I'm not positive.
From maybe it was a few months ago, but they're just still hunkered down on Frostbite, which was never actually built for what they're trying to do with it. So every goddamn thing they do, they're building from scratch, and it's a nightmare. And Anthem had a lot of issues directly related to the fact that they're trying to use DICE's FPS engine. That's real. That's what it's built for.
And it's great for first-person shooters.
Hell yeah. The Battlefield and Battlefront games have some of the best art and sound in an engine. They look good. They sound good for a first-person shooter. It's not what you build an open-world RPG.
No, not at all.
And I'm scared about it because we both want BioWare to succeed. We don't want to see them get shuttered or anything like that happening. But fuck, unless they sort out Frostbite, they're again quadrupling down on this engine.
Yeah, there's. I guess my point that I'm trying to make is, at this point, I just need BioWare to shut the fuck up. Unless you deliver something, I don't want to hear anything from you guys.
Just go away.
I don't want any more teasers. I don't want any more trailers. I want to see what it is you're fucking making.
Yep.
And we'll go from there. David, we have a few quick news stories that I want to run through real quick here because we are approaching the end of the show here. One, this is via IGN. Resident Evil Village spoilers have seemingly leaked. This is also known as Resident Evil 8. The rumor is it was due for an April release date. Remember how a couple weeks back Capcom got hacked in a massive ransomware attack? Yep. This might be related to that, but from what we can tell, a massive dump of information about Resident Evil 8 has been out there. We have screenshots, we have plot details, we have what looks to be development build footage.
Basically, if you're excited for the next Resident Evil game, don't Google it anytime soon.
Yeah. I did take a look at a couple of the screenshots just to kind of see the validity of it. It really does look like they might have come from like a dev console. So I believe that this hack is that
It's got that pre-release sheen to it.
I believe that this release is legit. Story spoilers are everywhere. So just keep that in mind. As I've said multiple times, a spoiler does not mean all that much to me. I'm still going to play Resident Evil 8. We'll see if I like it or not when it comes out. But just be aware, the Capcom ransomware attacks is still seeming to be releasing more and more information. Yeah. 2 bits of business I want to talk about. One, remember how we were talking about how Take-Two is probably going to buy Codemasters?
Yep, and they got swooped at the last minute by none other than Electronic Arts.
EA came in and sucked out Codemasters. Now I was thinking about this. This was actually, I won't say keeping me up at night, but I was sitting here wondering, why the fuck is EA and Take-Two having a bidding war over Codemasters of all things? And I'm not bashing Codemasters, but they're really only known for their racing games: Formula 1, Dirt Rally, Grid, Project Cars, etc. And then I realized EA and Take-Two have been sparring with each other for years over anything sports related. Mm-hmm. This is just another extension of that.
Yep, more or less.
EA wants to block Take-Two getting involved in any of what they perceive as their territory, and I think that is why this happened.
Their market. Although, let's talk about the money really quick. Normally, you're the guy that gets all excited about it, but Take-Two was in talks to buy Codemasters for $840 million, and fucking EA spent $1.2 billion.
That's another reason why I think this is designed to protect EA's pseudo-monopoly.
They weren't here for a bidding war. They're just like, nope, screw you guys. Yeah. Here's the money. Take it in the briefcase.
I think it's designed to protect EA's pseudo-monopoly on sports games, of which I'm considering racing part of.
Yes, although a fun side note that EA now owns 90% of all mainstream racing video games, with special exceptions being sim racers. So I'm talking like Assetto Corsica,
Gran Turismo, Forza.
And those are the next ones. The main big racing games of Forza, Gran Turismo, and then anything cartoony that's on Nintendo, they probably don't own.
That is, like I think this is EA and Take-Two still having their weird shadow war against each other, which has literally been going on since the days of NFL 2K, whatever, back when that was a franchise. Because remember, the 2K games, the NFL 2K games, were actually starting to eat into EA's share. They were getting rated better. They were being sold for cheaper. They were actually contending against Madden, and in my opinion, winning. And EA went, fuck that, and locked down the NFL franchise. And they've locked down the NBA franchise, I think, since then. And the NHL franchise, I think, since then. They are very, very protective of that sports monopoly they have. It's like a pseudo monopoly. And I think they're looking at the racing side of things now with their Need for Speed going, we're just going to go ahead and do that as well.
Well, because it's basically all the licensed racing games.
Yeah.
I can't wait to play the next Formula 1 game where you start as Williams and have to pay $4.99 in the season pass. You can get access to Mercedes.
And then finally, this is via GamesIndustry.biz. Layou shareholders approve Tencent takeover. That's right, David. The company that owns Warframe and also Splash Damage, which did some work on Gears Tactics, as well as Atheon Games, which is making Lord of the Rings MMO with Amazon, have been bought by Tencent.
I mean, everything else I enjoy is getting bought by Tencent. Why not Warframe? Or Digital Extremes, as it were.
What's the word? Who would you rather own what? Would you rather have Tencent own Warframe? Or would you rather have, we talked about last week, being bought by Saudi Arabia?
I would rather have all conglomerates fold in on themselves and die.
Not. You got to pick between the two. What's the game that was getting bought by Saudi Arabia? I can't fucking remember.
I don't have to pick. I just have to live here.
Okay, what was the game though? That was last week. What was the Saudi Arabia? I can't remember. It was something that you really liked.
It wasn't a game. It was SNK.
SNK, thank you. It was something that you liked.
SNK is potentially on the block for a hostile takeover from a Saudi Arabian prince.
All right. So let me ask that question again. It's probably going to be the same answer, though. Would you rather play a Tencent-owned Warframe or a Saudi Arabian-owned King of Fighters?
Okay, so I'm probably going to do what I'm consistently known to do and never play either of those games ever again.
All right. Fair enough. It's really, this is enough to make you keep from playing Warframe again. Because
When's the
you,
last time you saw me on Rocket League?
fair enough, but you have even more time in Warframe, like by leaps and bounds.
I only have like 4 times as many hours in Warframe. The fact that I have 350 hours in Rocket League notwithstanding.
Okay.
uh,
All right. Hey, you're a man's principle when it comes to that shit. And we've had this discussion multiple times.
I try
Everyone
to stay
has their line.
optimistic. I try to stay optimistic with Rocket League, and I try to play it once after that whole thing went down. And I played it for about 8 minutes, saw all the shit it wanted me to do, and then uninstalled it from my
Just
computer.
tapped out. All right.
Yep.
As a man of principle right there. And there are, as we've mentioned multiple times when it comes to things like this, there is so much out there to play.
I guess I'm just a Destiny kid now.
Yeah, there's so much out there, which is a game, in my opinion, on like the upswing. I think
well,
them breaking away from Activision
Warframe was
the smart thing
always
they did.
the better version of Destiny when Destiny 2 first came out, and I'm not going to say it's completely swung, but this definitely helps the scale.
Finally, we have one upcoming event. Kojima Productions is having their 5th anniversary tomorrow, December 16th, and apparently there's some announcement of something going on. Exciting updates you don't want to miss, according to the Twitter feed. We'll see. I doubt this is any new announcement of a game. It is more than likely, hey, this is what we have planned for the future. We're going to be doing this and that. You might hear an announcement of them getting bought by, like, say, Sony. If I would sooner believe an announcement of an acquisition than an announcement of a new game.
That's fair.
But we will see tomorrow. I don't think this is going to be that big, though. Either way, though, David, we won't have this announcement for at least another
few hours.
Hour, I think, actually. If I need something to play in that hour,
right, there you go.
What can I entertain myself with?
Well, lucky for you, it's the end of the year and Cyberpunk already came out. So there's about fuck all you can play coming out this week. First on the list is a game that's not actually a new release so much as it is new to people that only play games on Steam. Spellbreak finally hits Steam on PC this week. It's been on Epic for quite a while. This is the spell-slinging battle royale where you're more or less playing as like a bender from the Avatar universe.
Okay. I thought this game was already out, but I couldn't find anything on it. I guess I didn't check the Epic.
Yep. I think this game is actually pretty damn fun. That being said. Battle Royales are something that I like to try every once in a while. I think this one is perfectly fine. I like the way you can combine different spells. Basically, you have like gloves. So you've got a primary spell hand and a secondary. So say I get fire magic in my right hand, and my other hand I get wind. And this gives me a certain set of spells. This gives me a certain set of spells. And there's a little bit of that magicka. If I throw these spells at each other, new shit happens. And it's a PvP game. So things get kind of interesting as you're making weird fire tornadoes or, making electric rocks and throwing them at people.
Okay.
It's pretty fun. Also out, MXGP 2020. It's PS4, Xbox One, and PC. This is a racing video game not owned by EA. But this is the Motocross Championship game. So outdoor dirt bikes, motorcycles that go on the dirt. For you there, buddy, that doesn't ride motorcycles.
Yeah. It's my extensive motorcycles ends at the movie Rad, which wasn't even motorcycles, but bicycles.
Fucking nailed it. Anyway, MXGP. It's, I believe, a licensed motocross video game, so you can play as actual, proper motocrossers. Collection of Saga Final Fantasy Legend hits Switch, and I am legitimately excited for this.
I might buy this. I didn't even know this was coming out until like 2 hours ago. And I was like, shit.
I forgot this was coming out. I grabbed my Switch just before the show so I could start downloading it. No joke.
That's okay.
This is not a $40 collection. It's $20. And it is all 3 of the Final Fantasy Legend games, which are actually just renamed Saga games. But these games were on Game Boy in like fucking the early 90s. And
they wanted to cash in on that Final Fantasy name.
Final Fantasy Legend 2 was what got me through road trips as a younger person. And
Okay.
so I have a huge amount of nostalgia for these games. I eventually purchased all 3 of them. I thought they were tons of fun. The only thing that bumps me out is that you can only play it in the traditional Game Boy like color scheme of, gray on white or whatever the hell. And I played these games on a Game Boy Color. So you what a Game Boy Color, you had that little switch you could hit that made it so everything was like green or blue or red. That's how I played it. I thought it was fun. And I'm sad that I can't do that. A little bit of over. But I'm mostly just there for the music. These games have rad music. Anyway, enough of that. Last but not least on this week, a little game called Calico is out on Steam. This is not something I normally cover, but I was tasked with it, so I have to tell you about this day in a life community sim game where you are given the task of rebuilding the town's cat cafe and filling it with cuddly creatures. Build up your cafe by filling it with cute furniture, fun decorations, yummy pastries, and get it bustling with animals again. You can wander around the woods, meet bears, meet foxes, meet cats, meet dogs, meet whatever. Recruit those fuzzy bastards and stuff them in your cafe to enjoy and delight your guests. This is for the fans of fuzzy friends in your household.
This game looks absolutely adorable.
It is ridiculously adorable.
I
Very
will
cutesy,
say, God,
like very like upbeat, happy-going music. Just
I have seen this at a couple of PAXs over the years. I have seen this a couple of like indie events, and while I will admit this is not my game at all, I did play around with a little bit of it, and even in those early development builds, it seemed very competently well put together. So, something to keep in mind.
You can also take small, cute animals and put them on your head and walk around with them.
David, there has been an update from Kojima Productions that came out. Apparently, they are going to start rolling out a whole host of updates over the next few hours, starting in 1 hour. So, it is going to be like a series of stuff coming out. My gut tells me it's going to be a bunch of smaller things, maybe like an update to Death Stranding or things like that here and there. Don't expect anything major. But apparently they are going to be doing like an hourly set of updates throughout the entirety of their day because it is...
Man, now I need to stay up all night. This is ridiculous.
We'll see. And that brings us to the end of both news and new releases, which means we are also at the end of the show. Thank you all for showing up into GamePoints episode 244. We do stream this show live every Tuesday right here at twitch.tv/GamePoints every 8 p.m. Tuesday. That sentence got jumbled somewhere, and I'm not too sure how it happened, but it did. If you can't join us live, however, you can also watch us over at youtube.com/GamePointsPC. Regardless of where you're at, if you like what you saw here and you want to support the show, y'all know what to do. Follows and notifications turned on, bits, subscribes, etc. If you're sitting on that Prime Gaming freebie, I'd appreciate it here, but if you don't use it, make sure you get it home somewhere. There's a Discord you can join. The link will be provided down below, regardless of where you're watching at, in the descriptor there. You can follow the show on Twitter at GamePointsPC, myself, Stephen Brown, at CapitalistPig21, and David there at _Satori. Once again, thank you all for showing up. This has been GamePoints, and until next week, we're out of here.